These are the basic tools you will need to start building your first scale model car. Let's take a look at them one by one. The first tool you should get is a pair of side cutters. This tool gets the most used and abused. I have done a lot of damage with this tool, I mean a lot. It's strong enough to cut all kind of plastics. You can also use it to cut some copper wires and electrical wires. This is only a few dollars and it will last you many models. But if you have more than a few dollars in your pocket, then you can get a pair of Tamiya side cutters. These are higher quality cutters with thinner and sharper blades, which will make cutting smaller parts of the spruce much easier. I use this for my pre-painted AE86 build, and it's also really good for cleaning excessive plastics on clear parts. But don't use it to cut metal wires or you will easily damage the blades. Another tool you will need is a hobby knife. Nothing fancy about it, just a basic X-Acto knife with a sharp number 11 blade. It's useful for cleaning mold lines, cutting decals off the decal sheet, or even scrubbing panel lines. Tamiya also has its own hobby knife, or if you don't have a hobby knife, you can always use a retractable craft knife which works just fine. This is a surgical scalpel. It's just like the hobby knife, but it's extremely sharp. I use it exclusively for cutting through masking tapes around the window trims. You are also gonna need a cutting mat to protect the surface you are cutting on. They come in different sizes ranging from A1 to A5. A1 being the biggest and A5 being the smallest. I will post the dimension on the screen for your reference. A panel line scriber is also essential. You use it to make the original panel lines, which are the gaps between panels, slightly wider and deeper so they can look a little more realistic once the car is painted. The panel lines on some model kits are usually not deep enough. When you apply heavy paint over the surface, they will most likely be covered by paint and disappeared. You will have to be careful and slow when scribing. Just take your time and keep your hand as steady as possible. Do not try to scribe the line in one go. The first couple of passes should be very gentle, then slowly apply more pressure each time you scribe. Do not try to stop in the middle or you will end up having some uneven lines. Patience is the key and it will take some practice. You can also turn the hobby knife sideways and use that as a scriber. That's what I used to do. Tamiya also has a plastic scriber you can buy. It has a retractable blade, but I find the handle to be too bulky and hard to control. And if you're not gentle, it will make the panel lines much wider than you actually want them to be. Unless you have a very tiny hand, you will need a pair of tweezers. I mostly use the flat and the angle type. These are really helpful for handling small parts. They allow you to reach to places your giant hands couldn't be able to get to. One thing to keep in mind is that they have sharp edges, so be careful not to scratch your new paint job. I use a small pair of scissors for trimming masking tapes for the window edges. You can still use your hobby knife to cut out the template, but for the curves or the rounded edges, the small scissors can really cut more precisely. I would say a hobby handsaw is optional for beginners. You are probably not gonna be doing a whole lot of cutting and sawing for your first car. unless you are planning to make a lot of modifications to your projects in the future. If that's the case, then it will be a good tool to have in your collection. So that's it. As you can see, you don't need tons of tools to start. These are the basic hand tools I've been using to build my models on this channel, and I'm pretty sure you can do the same. By the way, since there is so much to talk about on the topic of scale modeling, I'm gonna break it down and make it into a video series. So in the next video of this series, I will go through different manufacturers and talk about how to choose your first scale model car kit. If you are interested in getting into the hobby, then you're welcome to subscribe to the channel. Feel free to check out my other videos on my channel as well.